All right, Shalom Makim. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. I'd like to say Shalom to the elect that's teaching His word in all true faith and sincerity. And today, I just want to touch on the fate of Esau and ultimately how he will become a servant. Which that's biblical prophecy. See, this state they're in is not the end all be all to where you have the so-called white man on top, as well as the other nations that's able to, benefit in some way, form, or fashion from this man being in power and us being on the bottom. That's not the order the Lord have set up. Actually, everything is turned upside down. It talks about how the earth is out of course. So ultimately, that correction is going to come by the way of World War III. That's going to set things back in order. It's going to cut this man out from being in power. And it's going to raise us up. Because going back to the point of this lesson is that the so-called white man, the Edomites, the biblical Edomites, they will be put into subjection. They will be brought back down to their place. And Lord will get that in Isaiah the 14th chapter. But let's start off with this in the book of Genesis 25. And Lord will get verse chapter 27 as well. So let's get this in the book of Genesis 25. In verse 23 it reads, "And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels." And as you can see this is concerning Jacob and Esau. The 2 nations show you that this story, wasn't just reserved. People say the Bible days. It's just some ancient story that happened back then between 2 siblings. No, this is going to play out on a bigger scale. That's why the scripture says 2 nations are in that womb, because it wasn't just going to end between just those 2 men, Jacob and Esau. No, it was going to be between the Israelites and the Edomites. That's what that sibling rivalry has grown into. That's why even today, in this system, you have black people and white people. Just those 2 terms in itself show you that rivalry hasn't went nowhere. Just different terms, but the same spirit. It says, "And the one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger." See? So we understand Jake is stronger, more athletic, even critical thinking, the mind. Jake is really better than all the nations, but us being brought down this low state, you still see glimpses of it from, as I mentioned, the athleticism. And then it said, "The elder shall serve the younger." And we know Esau is the elder. Then Jacob came behind. So that's prophecy, man. That he will be our servants. So let's jump to Genesis 27. This is the blessings. Let's see. Bear with me. This is the point. Genesis 27 verse 37, it reads, "And Isaac and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? So ultimately, and after that, Isaac really put a curse on him when he gave him the blessing of the sword, which we know when we read in the New Testament. Our Lord Yahweh Shai said, he that take it with the sword is going to be killed with it. So Isaac put a curse on Esau. But the point is that he said he made Jacob his Lord. So that's his office. That's his fate. That's his place. That's his lot. So this what we seeing today, this devil ruling and signing laws and legislations and calling these shots. That's not where he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be in chains somewhere in a dark pit and brought out to work when it's need be. But it's coming, man. Thus said the Lord. Matter of fact, let's get that in Isaiah 14. Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 2, it reads, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place. So this is concerning the captors, the oppressors. Because your place is really to be a servant, as we read in the book of Genesis. Those were prophetic sayings. The elder shall serve the younger. As well as Isaac saying that I have made Jacob thy Lord. So they're going to be brought to their place. They're going to be brought under our feet. Matter of fact, let's get that real quick before we continue on. Let's get that in Psalms 18. And Psalms 18 verse 38, it reads, I have wounded them that they were not able to rise. They are falling under my feet. See? So the Lord is going to be Yahweh Shema Shai. It's going to wound them with a wound that they're not going to be able to rise from. And that's really the destruction, World War III. And where they're going to fall? They're going to fall under our feet. Because these devils think that somehow, somewhere, if they do take an L, they're just going to fall to number 2 in the rankings. And somehow, when they get back on their feet, they're going to get back on top. No. You're going to fall under our feet. You're going to be in subjection unto us, man. So that's your place, under our feet. So going back to Isaiah 14 in verse 2, it says, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. See? So you're going to go into captivity. And Esau, that's one of his greatest fears, is for the Israelites to be in the power. Because they're going to come with a certain judge. That ain't just going to be how it is today. Everybody, just as long as you pay your taxes and pay your bills and you stop at a stop sign. No, it's going to be a rigorous rule. And a righteous recompense that's going to come with it. Because all the atrocities that this devil have done unto us, it's not like it's going to be swept under the rug. It's not like, we're going to forget it. Hold hands in the kingdom. No, man, Yahweh Shema Shai is a power that judge in the earth. He's a righteous judge. So the scriptures talk about how it is a marvel if one escape unpunished. This devil done all these horrific things. You got these terms such as gator bait, nigger ball, buck breaking. And the niggas do it to this day. So you don't think they're going to have to pay the nation of Edom as a whole, all the Edomites, Jeremiah 30, verse 16, it reads, therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured. See? Because, these nations, chiefly Esau, because he benefited the most from us being at the bottom. Even when you go into Psalms 83 and concerning those heathens getting together, it'll really Edom that spearheaded the council, because he will benefit the most from us being at the bottom. So they devoured us, and so they reap the benefits. Just like you eat an apple, you ain't necessarily eating it because it tastes good, it's sweet. You getting the nutrients from it. You benefiting from eating that apple. So these nations, especially Esau, benefited from Israel being subject unto him. Why do you think America became a superpower so fast, man? And that's what all the other nations. You got the Israelites in your hands, in your possession, you're going to be in power off top. And how this devil did it, this nigga shot to the top quick, It says, in all thy adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity, see? And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for praise, see? So ultimately, that's the results. That's the end game. You're going to go into captivity, and Edomite, a fucking Moabite, a Hamite. But speaking on chiefly Edom, because they are our arch enemy, and these niggas are in power. So it's really directed to them. They're going to go into captivity. They're going to be a spoil. Those resources they have is going to be left for us, man. So ultimately, this going back to this devil's lie, his purpose is to be our servants. And that's why the destruction going to come. And see, he's known as the sword now. But ultimately, it ain't going to be no use for the sword in the kingdom of heaven. So that sword is going to turn into a forming tool. Let's get that in the book of Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 4. It reads, and he shall judge among the nations and shall rebuke many people. See, so it's going to be